My name is Wes Fritz, and I am an alcoholic. I'm here from Michigan. My home group is Melvindale Wood Street Group on Monday night, 8 o'clock. I've been sober since May 11th, 1991. By great sponsorship, a wonderful program, and a wonderful fellowship. You people Zoom everything that has to do with Alcoholics Anonymous. I've been sober today for about 20 hours. And what a drop in, eh? Wow. Wait till I find out who this Jim guy is. No. But anyways, I come in my first meeting May 11th. I just got out of jail 8 o'clock this morning, and it was a Saturday. And I tried to, do all my tricks and to get out early and this and that and that and this, but that stuff didn't happen. I was in jail in a plexiglass room, a cinder block wall, a little cot, and a commode with a water fountain on the back of it. Well, that was my friend for a while. I was really meditating. I was somewhere else. I didn't want to be in jail, so I meditated. I was over at Henry Ford Mansion, which is local here, about 2 miles away on the river, and it's a big mansion. We used to go out and party there all the time. Well, that water that was running in that water fountain was like sprinkling, and I'm sitting on this metal table leaning up against the wall, and I'm just rocking, and the next thing you know, I hear banging on this door, and I finally look over, and it's like, and I'm all by myself in the cell, and look over there, and there's a cop. He says, "Hey, turn that water off," and I'm totally ignoring him. Remind you, this is a second offense, 6 years apart. I got my first one in 1984. And the thing that really got me is man, I'm sitting here in my front room, fellas, and I'm shaking right now. But anyways, it's my story, and I'll never forget my last drink. But this cop, he finally went away, and I got down in my drunken meditation again, and the next thing you know, there's knocking on the door again. Well, there's 7 of them, and they didn't ask me outside the door. They unlocked the door, and 3 of them stood in front of me, 2 in the doorway, and 3 of them out, 2 of them out in the hallway, and the officer said to me, same thing. Did this officer ask you to turn that water off? And it was like Phil telling what's his name to ask Wes if he'll do a lead. And I told that cop, just like a light switch, man. I didn't hesitate. Looked him right dead in the eye, and I said, "Listen, man, you want that water off? You go ahead and turn it off, because it seems it's bothering you, and it's more than it's bothering me." And I don't know what it was. I don't have the answer today. But that officer said I didn't belong in there. I belonged in a drunk tank, and I had no clue what that was. I know now, but well, they put me in this cell, which was bigger, a lot bigger, probably a 40 by 30 room, all marble. There was a commode over there with a privacy wall and a sink, and they put me in there, and I remember they took my socks and my belt and my shoelaces and all this crap, and it was a good damn thing they did, because it wasn't long after that, I got pissed off, because that's what usually happens when I drink. I get pissed off. And there was nobody in there, so I didn't know what to do. So I started doing tiki-tai, because I learned that very young in age. It's a form of karate, and I started doing tiki-tai against the cinder block walls. And that cinder block wall that was between the sink and the toilet, I broke it and it scared me so much. It made me more madder. I yanked the sink off the wall, and I pulled the toilet off of the floor, and the next thing you know, I hear it's the next morning, and turnkey asked me if I needed a blanket because I'm sitting there in my underwear. I took my pants off and I ripped them in half and I wrapped my hands, I walked over to the door and I said, sure, like nothing ever happened. And that nice turnkey just shoved that blanket right underneath that door. What do you think? That was the first sign. Well, it took a little bit to get there. I had to call my wife today. She was my wife then. To bring me some clothes. And I can't explain it. The only thing I could do is remember it. And that is I got out and went to the closest restaurant with my girlfriend, and which is Doris. It's my wife today. And started drinking coffee. But something happened. Something happened. I don't know what it was, but it had to be the spirit. It had to be, because nobody touched me. Nobody sentenced me or threatened me or anything. I just could not stop crying, people. I could not stop crying. I was so ashamed. I did this 6 years ago, and here I am back again, and I got to figure out how the hell to get my truck back as quick as possible. So I thought drinking this coffee would help, but I was really, really emotionally a wreck, man. So I went back to the cop shop, which was like a quarter mile away. And I said, I'd like to get my truck out if I can. And an officer said, well, we told you to come back in like 8 hours because you're still legally drunk. I said, okay. So then my girl had to drive me out to Ann Arbor because I missed work. I was supposed to work to get my check. And, I again, it's just so hard to explain. I'm gonna just say I got to my first meeting 6 hours after I got out of jail. I called the cops, they gave me a hotline number, and I called the hotline. The hotline got me to my first meeting. And now I told that hotline person somewhat of the story I just told you. And he says to me, do you know where Cabrini is, which is a Catholic high school in Allen Park here, next city over? And I said, yeah, I know where it is. Never been there. Well, there's a Holy Family house right across the street from the high school. I said, okay, you go in there at 1 o'clock and there'll be a meeting. I said, okay. And I could not believe it, fellas, man. I pulled right up on the street to the sidewalk that goes to the door that he told me to go in. And there's no cars around. This guy's full of, I walked up to the door and it opened. And it's like there was people in there. I couldn't believe it, and I remember I was sitting on the end of a table, and there was 10 of us sitting there. And the table leader told me, just calm down, relax, and we're gonna come to you at the end. So that did help. But what I didn't know was I was an alcoholic. I didn't know that. And there's, if anything in the world I'd never wanted to be, was an alcoholic. Because my dad was an alcoholic. And I will tell him he was an alcoholic if he was alive. Because I listened to my father till the time I could hear, from 3, 4 years old, yelling and screaming at my mom. Friday nights mostly. There was some physical abuse there. I'm the youngest of 3. And, the only thing I knew how to do was hide and cry, you know. Um, and I should say to somebody, I didn't know God till I came to this program. I wish they would just stop selling alcohol, or just close the bars. That would solve everything, And naturally, I didn't even wait till I got old enough. I think I was 12 years old when I took my first drink. And holy mackerel, we all know that feeling. But we also know that feeling of not being able to keep it down. And that's what happened to me in my first drink. And uh, so, when it came to my turn, again, I said my name was Wes and I'm an alcoholic. I just bursted out again. I couldn't even share. I was just so emotionally wrecked, just crying. And well, a couple guys came up to me afterwards and where are you going tomorrow? And what do you mean going tomorrow? Well, I'll tell you what, man, I'll come by and get you tomorrow and we'll take you to a meeting. I said, okay. So that was my start in my beginning of my journey, and I stayed with that group probably about 4 years. And I left that group to go to another one. And I liked this other group because it gave out gold medallions, a charm, a charm with your sobriety date on it if you got 10 years. And so I went to that home group, man, and I stayed there for 6 years and got my 10 years. And I still go to that meeting today at 4:30 on Thursdays. There was a reason just for about everything, and I didn't know that I was the problem. Remind you, I played sports all my life. I was a football, basketball, baseball player. That's what I wanted to be, was a football player. And I almost got there, but shortly after I graduated, I got up there to college, but mom called and said dad passed, and I come home and I never went back. And then I really, really started drinking. I threw that career away, or I threw that dream away. Let's put it that way. And I started going to Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, when I started going to Alcoholics Anonymous, I went to Alcoholics Anonymous like I went to my sports. I went to 2 to 3 meetings a day. In one week, I counted how many meetings I was going to. I was going to 21 meetings in a week. And I don't know how many I was cheering, how many I was making coffee, but I wanted this, And I hung out at the Alano Club at a 1:30 meeting. It was huge, man. A lot of people got sober there, and I really enjoyed it. I thought I was really having fun, until somebody asked me if I had a sponsor, and I said no. And he says, "Well, can you answer this question?" I said, "What's that?" He says, "In the first step, what don't you have?" And I couldn't answer that question. He said, "You got a big book?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you go home tonight and you read Doctor's Opinion." And he says, "What are you doing this weekend?" And I said, "Nothing." He says, "Why don't we get together and go somewhere and I'll take you through the big book." I said, "Okay." Well, I bought a big fifth wheel in '99 and I put it up about an hour away from here at a campground. And I said, "Well, look, we can go up to my campground, man." And you know, I didn't know what was going to happen, but this man, Joe Galvin was his name. He was a Navy vet, and wearing this T-shirt reminds me of him because he never wore anything nice unless he went to his home group, Foxhall, and he had to wear a tie. And but anyways, he took me through the book, you know, and there's a couple things in there in these steps that really grounded me. And what I mean by grounded me is I had no clue who was keeping me sober, what was keeping me sober, and how I was staying sober until I did that third step prayer. Till I finished that fourth step the next day, did the fifth and sixth that evening. And the next morning we went to a big lake and a park, a state park. And we were out there at a picnic table, just me and him and all these people around us. And we did the 7-step prayer together. And on the ride home from the park to the camper, I wrote some stuff down about my characters and my shortcomings. And at a bonfire meeting that night, we talked all night, just about 9, 10, and 11, and 12. And I no longer have him as a sponsor today, but he was a great man. And I was drinking coffee at an Alamo club early on, and a guy walked up and said, "Hey, you ever been to a retreat?" And I said, "No." And he says, "You ever been to Akron?" And I said, "No." He says, "Well, I'm gonna tell you something. If you want to stay sober, man, you got to go to these things." I said, "Really?" Well, the next thing you know, a couple days later, a guy's asking me to go on a retreat. Yeah, so I started going on retreats in '93. Matt Talbert, Group 16. We were the largest in the world. Our group, over 3,000 members. And naturally, no, they're not all living now, but it progressed. It's been going on for 45 plus years. And I used to go to 3 a year. Now they're down to 2. And I want to say in '98, I got involved with a motorcycle club. It's called the Sober Riders here in Michigan. And it was an MC club. But I got involved with them and I started riding with them. And that's when I got my chance to go down to Akron. And that was just a unbelievable experience. To see these guys with tattoos, beards, and leather on, just crying their eyes out like I did my first day sober. And it was a great spirit, emotional, good health, good living experience. So as years gone on, about 12 years now sober, I got this job pumping concrete. And I don't know if a lot of you know what that is, but it's a good paying job here in this state, the union job. And I would call in and ask if I could stop, like, I might be coming in right now off the road and asking if I could stop at a meeting and park my rig somewhere, and get to a meeting. And I ended up getting really busy, man. I mean, 24-hour busy. And I literally let AA go. And I think I stopped going. I didn't go to AA for like 4 years. And I mean, just 7 days a week, just working ungodly amount of hours. And I just I think I ran into somebody, and it just boom, man. It's just like nothing ever happened. And I still read my devotions. I still read my book 2 pages a day. And because I took everything with me all the time. some kind of literature, because if I had to wait on concrete, I could jump up in the cab and read something anyway, and but that's what that went down, and I ended up coming back here, and I got involved with some guys that played golf. Holy mackerel. And I think since 1990 or 2008, 2007, somewhere in there, I started playing golf in the program. There was 5 outings a year, and one was Golfaholics, and it was big, and it was all sober guys. And we'd go up to Lewiston at one of the first resorts that ever was built here in Michigan. I'd stay 5 days, play golf 5 days with these guys. And there's an outing at the end of the month. I can't play anymore. I was in an accident 8 years ago. I was in a motorcycle accident, and I was killed, and my wife was following me. And but again, the guardian angels of your belief dropped instantly when it happened. And I mean, I heard there was nurses on the scene, and just some crazy stuff. But let's go to the conferences here in Michigan. Like everywhere else, we got a March Roundup, we got a state convention, we got a tri-county convention, we got Iggy Paul and all that. We got all kinds of stuff going on all the time. Banquets, dances, concerts, you name it. Baseball games we go to, football games, and that's what kept me in AA for a long time. It's just being with the fellowship, being with the guys, man, knowing that I was part of, but since COVID, it's been really a down spiral as far as, some of the guys I ain't seen, and some of them passed and didn't get to see them. And but I tell you, I got down to Kingsport last March. I went down to the Four Horsemen's conference, man, and I'll tell you, I had a wonderful time down there, man. It's like a shot in the arm, man, of Alcoholics Anonymous. Because I'm gonna tell you something. Since my accidents, I can't count how many surgeries I've had. And I do have a brain injury, a closed brain and head injury, and short-term memory loss. I have all that crap. I have the anxiety, I have depression. I still got wood up here. It's still hollow. And but somehow, some way, the spirit is keeping me sober. And I think the reason why is when I first heard that preamble is the desire to stop. That stuck out more than anything, and so that's how I worked my program. Just having that desire to stop drinking. And yeah, naturally, I acted dry, drunk, just that you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, then that's how I got involved in the step work, and the traditions. Because Wes, some of you know me, and some of you wish you didn't know me. But it's all fun and games, just like this, man. Come on, how can I get that guy back? Just wear a tie, man. Be just like him, And I love that guy, man. And Phil, and Claudia, and Dan. I haven't met, some of them New Yorkers, and I see my other friend on here, a lot of people that are in the morning meeting, the Men Who Trudge. If I ask God, not just to stay sober, to help you stay sober. That's working a 12-step program. Because God will provide. He will put somebody in my life to work with. And his will be done, not mine. I've learned that here, and I get real excited and I sweat and and I'm glad I'm not in person because I'm already got to change my t-shirt, but my dog over here, he's calmed down at least. I had to get him because give my wife a break with all the nursing she had to do for me when I was down, and I play with my dog and get the pain and things going on in my life out of my head and give them attention to my dog and people in the program. And I had to bring out the tapes again. People, I couldn't keep a steady line with my reading. I used to have to take a piece of paper line by line. Well, I got tired of that, so I started listening to tapes again. The old tapes, I broke out all the tapes. I Father Martin tapes and the open talks I've heard, and but I got down there to Kingsport, man, and I got to the Serenity group. Got to be there with the group, and a couple times I think I was there. I was up in Johnson City, and I had a wonderful time. In fact, I needed a break when I got home, and that's usually how it is when I'm on a retreat or golf outing. It's just you're going constantly, and naturally you're sleeping in a different bed, and but make a long story short, that panel that they had there that weekend was just unbelievable. I got the all the talks that weekend. If I'd known I was doing this talk, I put one of my t-shirts on that I bought. I gave my sponsor one. I gave a bunch of people one. That's what I do now. I got married in 94. No. Yeah, 94, 93. Yeah. So she has 4 kids, and I was 22. I used to drink with her brother. I was a bar drinker. I was a bartender. And that one of the things I couldn't understand is why she would stay with me. All the things I did. I'll be home after this one. I'll be right back. We know we've heard of stories. And today, I have that trust back. Not only do I have it with my wife, but I have it with her kids. My grandkids, I have 14 of them. They've never seen me drink. And here, just last year, I've received 2 great grandkids. This year, I've had another great grandkid, and I got another one in the oven. So God has things for me to do, and it's fun. And when I'm not at a meeting, it's because I'm either burping or changing or feeding a child. And I'm not going to miss those points that I missed with the kids, because make a long story short, my dad was a truck driver, and I turned out just like him, and worse, but I'm sure glad I didn't ever hurt anybody, and many times I was in accidents and fights, and just come out, like nothing ever happened. I could block that stuff off, and with a drink. or just a jukebox and a pool stick. I could turn all that off. And but once I put a drink in, there's no guarantee. And it's okay today. I live in a small town here. I've been here all my life, and everybody knows that I'm in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I've had people come knock on my doors and say, "Hey, can you help? Can you help?" And it's like, look, the only thing I can do is point you in the direction. I said, if they're drinking, I can't talk to them. And it's okay, because usually they come back. Usually they come back. But today it's I'm on Zoom. I've been cutting back because of doctor's appointments, and Steven went through his surgery, and I'm probably, I think mine's going to be a hip, because I got nerve issues now, and but I can't I can't turn my back on Alcoholics Anonymous. No, I can't. I can have a meeting in the hospital, and I could make a phone call in the hospital. People can come visit me. It's the same thing. It's like back when I had my knees replaced. The guys used to come here and sit in my front room. And we'd have a meeting, coffee, and everything else. And that's the fellowship of this program. I've tried many a times to get involved in service at the district and area levels, and I just have to walk away. I can't say anything. I just say, well, where did you go? When things don't go my way, I walk away. Or if things go wrong, I walk away. Because I'll bring up something that happened not even that day. I bring up the past, and that's one of my character defects. I find failure, and today I don't have to look long. I see him every morning. Wakes up, brushes his teeth, and shaves. And that was hard to accept. But I learned that Serenity prayer early on, and it's a good prayer. I love it. It's easy, simple, and right direct. It's good to be able to love and be loved. It's a good feeling, and Mr. Todd on here, good. I won't forget when he saw me in his home group, what he did. That's a memory that nobody could take away from me, what he did. And it's a time, like when I saw Phil, I didn't even know it was Phil, let alone being at the convention, and Dan sat next to me and I didn't even know who he was. But Phil had his hair tucked up underneath his hat, He's like, "Hey, how you doing, man? Who are you?" I found out who he was. But it's, I love having fun, man. And it was what holiday was that? The Irish
St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, thank you. It was St. Patrick's weekend, and when I was down there, and I went to a Rite Aid, man. I bought all these beads and necklaces and hats, and I had all kinds of, and I gave them to Phil and Stephen Todd. I said, "Here, you gotta wear these now." And just to have fun, and good fun. It don't hurt nobody. Be able to laugh and be laughed at, and there's no better feeling than that. I don't have a grave emotional tonight speech, but I have been through that grave emotional mental disorder. I have. Alcohol took me there. I was a crazy alcoholic. I sure was. I was crazy. No wonder Mom never did anything or said anything. My dad was gone by then. And but I know one thing: I will never, never say no to Alcoholics Anonymous. Never. And I can make plans, but I can't plan the outcome. Learn that here in Alcoholics Anonymous. And I'm sitting here at my computer, and I got all these people's names and sobriety dates from all over, and it's great, man. It's really cool. And I don't know too much more to say. If there is a newcomer here, just do what's asked of you. Put your name out there, put your phone number out there, raise your hand, tell them you're new, tell them you need some help, tell them you're scared. Don't worry. We all been there. All been there. And I've been blessed so many times over. It's unbelievable. And I know true in my heart tonight, this is the best I can do. But I know one thing. There's 133 people on here, and I know at least some of them have been sober at least 45 minutes. And that's a miracle. That's a miracle for an alcoholic to stay sober for 24 hours. So if you have, it's okay. Pat yourself on the back and get off your ass and get to work. It's an action program, And I love you guys. Thanks.